Welcome, Hudson Valley. This is Conor Walsh, host of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. This week on In Touch, we have Paul Hacker, broker at Access Insurance Services. Whether you're concerned about your company's digital information or your personal information, the growing need for cybersecurity is evident. Paul and I discuss the latest dangers when it comes to online theft and how to better protect yourself. We invite you to join us and listen to a previously recorded conversation between Paul Hacker and myself here on In Touch. Thank you for all the kind words shared in regard to In Touch officially being awarded the 2023 New York State Broadcasters Association Award for Outstanding Public Affairs Programmer Series as part of the 57th Annual Excellence in Broadcasting Awards. This recognition would not be possible without the incredible team here at Townsquare, all of our phenomenal guests that we learn and grow with every single week, and of course you, the listener. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just found us, thank you for taking part in the conversation and staying in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. We here at In Touch are all about, well, being in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. What better way to stay in touch with what's going on than by downloading the Townsquare Media mobile app for this radio station? Not only can you listen to this station live at any time using the app, but you can also listen to In Touch on demand. Besides In Touch, you can read daily articles about news, events, entertainment, and more that's going on in your community. And when the weather gets bad, you can use the app to check on weather reports and see which roads, schools, and organizations are closed. Your Townsquare Media app is the best place for concert tickets and events as well. We're constantly giving away tickets to the hottest shows in the area. Again, you'll have access to all of this if you just download the Townsquare Media mobile app for this radio station. In Touch is nothing without the support of the hundreds of listeners that we get on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for listening and taking part in the conversation. If you listen to In Touch through a podcast service such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a positive review. With more 5-star reviews on these platforms, the algorithms will work hard to promote our show and bring In Touch to new people. That and also sharing In Touch with your friends and family is so important. Just sharing our links and listening live each Sunday goes such a long way. Thank you for all you do to stay in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. Hello, Hudson Valley. It's Conor Walsh. You're listening to another episode of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's public affairs and issues program. And we got ourselves a great episode today, and I'm really looking forward to this episode. It's funny, there are certain topics that you know that are coming up ahead of time, you're really excited to talk about, and you wish the program was longer than it actually is because there's so much to get into with this. And I'm so happy. So with us today, we have Paul Hacker, broker for Access Insurance Services, and also longtime listener of the program. I just want to say before anything else, you know how I say at the end of the programs, if you have a topic or you want to be a guest, hit me up. Paul was one of those people, and he has been on the waiting list for a while now. So, Paul, thank you for being so patient. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
Conor, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share my knowledge of being a hacker and talk to you about cyber insurance and cybersecurity today.
Absolutely. So, of course, what we're talking about, cybersecurity, it is a big thing with the entire landscape of media, information, intelligence, AI growing, everything like that. This is such an important thing to keep in mind, especially myself included. Every once in a while, I'll get a hit on my credit card. And it's like, how the heck did that happen? And I'll have to regroup from there. Yes, what we're going to talk about more today is more business-wise, but a lot of these practices can help out on the personal as well. So as we always start off In Touch, could you give us a little overview and background on yourself and also your work with Access?
Sure. Thank you, Conor. Well, I've been involved prior to Access with health insurance for the past 28 years prior to working for Access Insurance Services. In my role at Access, I've been here 6 years. We sell professional liability, management liability, and cyber liability insurance. And not just because my name is Hacker. 2 years ago, I really got involved with trying to understand what cyber was all about. Because all companies, whether you're private, public, municipality, a school district, what have you, you have to secure the data that you have for your clients or your students or your members or what have you. So that's called the privacy and network security. So we find years ago, hackers were kids in a garage trying to hack something and get $10,000 for stealing data or holding a company hostage. since COVID was like the area or the time where everyone was getting hacked because it was more fish in a barrel for a hacker to attack. People didn't have security at home. They didn't have multi-factor authentication. They didn't have any of that stuff. So it was very easy for hackers to really get involved with trying to steal data and try to lock up a customer. So since COVID, the insurance carriers like a Coalition or a Corvus or At Bay or Travelers, there's a number of different carriers out there, they started to really increase their premiums until companies got it. They started to secure the data. They started training their employees what to look for when there's a potential email with a potential malware document attached to it. So in any event, that's what I do. I help employers, small, mid-sized, large, private, public, all the above, to understand what they need from a security perspective, and then from there, what they need from an insurance perspective. And I'm not here to pitch insurance. I'm really here to help all the listeners understand what is cyber, what's the cybersecurity issue today, and why you need cyber insurance. Whether you work through a broker or an agent or through us, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to share the information with you today.
Absolutely. And I think it is so important. As you said, the pandemic opened our eyes and unfortunately opened ourselves up to a lot of potential damage. The stories that we were talking about sharing off the mic right before we started, that was all during the pandemic. The story about my grandmother, which I think I've talked about on this program before. We had a code when she got called by a scammer or something, and fortunately she was smart enough to be aware of it. So, and that was during the pandemic and other issues like that. So could we talk about the different kinds of cyber attacks? Because it's not necessarily just a streamlined one thing, one and done. They can come at you in a number of ways.
And they come back again and again to the well.
Yes.
So here's two things with cyber. You can either have a cyber breach, so that's a first party, which means that somehow you leaked data or someone stole the data, and or one of your subcontractors stole the data. And we see a lot of that with healthcare. I think a couple of months ago, you saw what happened in Kingston.
Oh my God, yes.
So my daughter is becoming a nurse. So she has to wait to do her internship because they couldn't even, open the door, basically. Yeah. So what happened there in that situation, that was a cyber attack / ransomware. So what happens is many times employers don't have certain security protocols, multi-factor authentication, something called endpoint detection and response. Think of an octopus with the tentacles. That is where all the laptops and everything's connected. They can find when an attack occurs in one section and cut you off. So it doesn't attack the entire network. So a lot of companies don't have all this stuff. And they're finding out they're going to need to get that after they pay millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits and penalties. And I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But in that situation, that was a ransomware. So either you have a data breach, and just back up for a second, hackers could be in your system for over 6 months, trolling around. Who are your vendors? When do you do your billing? Who makes the most money in this company? Are we going to spearfish Boris? Are we going to spearfish Robin? Are we going to spearfish? I'm making that up, obviously. I hope that doesn't happen to Boris and Robin.
Absolutely not. Yeah, of course.
Right, but so hackers in there trolling around, figuring out what they're going to do. They could be in your system to steal your data, and what they do with the data, they sell that on something called the dark web, which we don't have access to. Back up for 1 second here. The three main areas hackers are attacking. Well, first and foremost is healthcare. We talked about that example in Kingston. They're doing that because they get paid $250 per record they steal on the dark web. Jeez. And just to put that into perspective, from a personal identifiable information piece like your credit card, that's $5 per record. And a measly social security number is $1 per record.
Oh, wow. So
you see from an attack perspective, hackers are hitting hospitals, ambulatory surgery centers, insurance carriers, financial arms, 100%. Next one is going to be insurance, finance, real estate, because of the money involved with wiring.
Yeah.
For down payments and all that fun stuff, which I'm not really understanding 100%. I know when I bought my house, I signed a lot of papers. And the third area is manufacturing. They want to hit manufacturers because logistically they need that equipment. They need that piece of whatever the piece is to do something, and they'll pay the ransom. So a data breach means your information was out from your customers. A cyber attack / ransomware is where a hacker gets in your system and they lock you up. You can't use your system. Your screen goes blue and there's all this fun stuff. And they have customer service. You call the number. And that's why it's important to have some sort of cyber insurance, because hackers get paid Bitcoin. They don't get paid through a check or wire money, because you can track that down.
Yeah.
They get paid through Bitcoin. So it's important when you work with your broker, or there's tons of brokers around here and agencies around here, work with them. They're good people, They have the policy says pay on behalf of, which means if you have a ransom event, you don't have to worry about that as the employer. You have other things to worry about.
Yeah.
But they get involved and they pay that ransom. Sometimes companies don't pay the ransom because they have a secure backup system that's encrypted. They can reimage all that stuff. A lot of companies don't have that. They don't know. They farm out their IT through an MSP, a managed service provider, or they don't have the right budget. A lot of municipalities have old legacy systems that aren't, there's no software update. Who manages that, you know? So there's lots of things you can do. And if you want to talk about that now, we can. And I can tell you basically on the 11 checklist that I've shared with you, just a few basic things that all employers should do day one now is set up multi-factor authentication. We all know what that is. You go to your bank, you get a code on your phone, you put the code in, because let's face it, hackers have all their data anyway, but multi-factor keeps them out of the castle.
Yes.
They can get to the castle, hang out in the moat with the gators, but they're not able to get into your software.
Absolutely. And yes, I absolutely want to get into those 11 factors. But before we get into that, I just want to ask, yes, a lot of companies are behind on some of these programs or behind on the technology. And then that definitely makes their defenses weaker. But when it comes to technology as a whole, based on what you've seen, can it keep up? The modern technology keep up with the way that AI, new hackers, more experienced hackers are attacking these things?
It's funny you bring that up. Not really funny, but it's a great time for you to bring that up, because we are behind. As we learn what the hackers are doing, we catch up.
Yeah.
Now the new threats is you do everything right as a company from a security perspective, and they're coming in through something called a fileless attack, which means that their malware is embedded in a software update, and your system won't find that. There's something called juice jacking. It doesn't sound like you're doing steroids to work out and get muscular. It's really what happens is when you're in a public space, airport, doctor's office, they have those stacks of how you plug your phone in.
Yes.
Use your own cable. Hackers are taking data from the cable. They have a connection there.
Wow.
Yeah. So fileless attack, juice jacking. AI is a good thing and a bad thing. The AI could have been, and we talked about this prior, where someone called, may have been your voice. They called your grandma when she was alive or a friend, and they're scamming those people.
Yeah.
Big thing. We had a deep fake, which is artificial intelligence too. It was not in our country, it was in Japan or China, and they created a Zoom with pictures of the CEO talking and the CFO talking about this merger and acquisition deal. They wired over $20 million.
Oh my God.
Gone. Deep fake.
Wow.
So to answer your question, not to freak everybody out, we're not going to be attacked like this, but you really have to shore up your stuff and really work with your security teams and your IT teams to really shore up what's going on, because they are attacking not once a day, over 2,000 times a day. Because everything it's called a denial of service attack, it's DDoS, where they'll send millions of emails to your inbox or to your server, and the server can't handle it and they blow up.
Yeah.
They lock you up that way. So there's lots of different things.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about the ways that you can help yourself and help your company. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We're speaking with Paul Hacker, a broker for Access Insurance Services, talking about cybersecurity and the ways that you can better protect yourself. And you sent me this email ahead of time with some really great topics on how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your business. Really great things, whether you're worrying about personal stuff, you're worrying about your business. I think it all relates. And if we can get into those 11 factors, that would be fantastic.
Right. Well, not all factors you need to implement. I'm going to talk about the 3 to 5 you should implement.
Okay, great.
First, multi-factor authentication is number one. We know what that is, where you have a code, you access the code to get into your system. Without the code, you can't get in there. That's first and foremost. The second thing is employees and subcontractors. Train them not once a year because you have to, train them continuously. Because you can find out, we get tested all the time, but we don't want to go back to cyber school at my company because it takes time out of your day. They want you to go back. But for new people, the scams that we see that we test people on is, hey, it's Mike Smith, the president and CEO of Access Insurance Services. Hey, Liam, can you go to the store and buy 20 gift cards at $50? And when you get those 20, can you give me the codes of all 20s? That kind of stuff happens. Wow. And that's a test.
Yeah.
We get a test. We get a lot of Microsoft 365. Hey, we have a problem. Don't open that up, because that's one. Another one is you get something from your Bank of America. Hey, we think someone's hacking your system. Can you click on this to verify? Mm-hmm. Don't do this.
Yeah.
IRS is the worst.
Oh my
IRS
God,
will never call you. They may email you. They may mail you, but you do never open anything for IRS. I told my mom this because she was getting freaked out with Central Hudson thing and this thing and that thing. I said, don't answer it. Don't respond.
Yeah.
I don't have a code with her. She tells me to, phenomenal. She's Italian. I said, stop. Anyway, all kidding aside, first, so MFA, train your employees continuously. There's something called endpoint detection and response. We talked about that octopus with tentacles.
Yes.
That's important for you to get that in your system, because that will prevent that hacker being in your system for 6 months. Once they're in, alarm goes off, let's say, for example, and someone cuts that off.
And that's good.
That's it. So those are the three main things you need to do. You can do password manager. That's more, but they make up passwords for you. That's a little cumbersome, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like I don't even know what the password is. So
Yeah.
I have crazy passwords I keep myself. Never write them down. Never post them to your back of your computer. Never leave them around. So that's one other thing you can do. But those are really the things. Now, to be honest with you, I don't recommend the other ones because it's costly. And we have a lot of small and mid-sized employers. If you do those 3 or 4 basic things, you're far ahead than everybody else out there.
Yeah.
And the last thing you should do is have someone do a penetration test on your system. A penetration test or a pen test is somebody's security is going to email and they're going to find if there's any holes. Sometimes we see remote desktop protocol. Basically, you may have an IT person here that says, hey, I have a problem with my computer. Can you log in and run my that's remote desktop protocol.
Yeah.
You want to lock those things down and only use them for 1 or 2 people within your organization, because that's when hackers can come in, pretend to be somebody, and get in your system. Don't use flash drives.
Don't use flash
Don't
drives.
use flash drives. We cut our flash drives off. Flash drives you can get from someone ships you your first flash drive. It could be malware on there. If you're in Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or a local place like Mud Puddle and New Paltz and you want to use the Wi-Fi, use your virtual private network to cut that out, because that's when people could be in there trying to scam you and get in your system. So those are some other tools.
Gotcha.
But I think from the size of the companies here in this area, the small and mid-sized, you got to do that. And some people say, well, I'm small, no one wants me. That's not true.
No, that's where they'll get you.
There are different varying hackers out there, and they're all sophisticated. And there's actually something called a ransomware for a service.
Yeah.
Which means that you can lease me out. You use my software, go for it, and I'll charge you a fee. So there's a lot of different things going on here. Now, I think our wars that are happening right now, besides Ukraine and Russia, it's all electronic.
Yeah.
It's all going to be cyber. Let me see if I can hack into your system to shut down your missiles or whatever. So there's a lot going on there. So
We really are in a cyber war. It's
cyber war. Yep.
At some point, the history books are going to be saying like the cyber war era, just like how I learned about Cold War growing up. My kids are going to be learning about the cyber wars and the cyber attacks.
I have a nephew going into cybersecurity. I said, it's smart. Do it.
Yeah.
You'll always have a job, because you need someone from a data breach perspective, a forensic perspective. They look at where did it happen? How did it happen? Let's prevent it from happening.
Yep.
You could have a situation where your system is fried. You have to get whole new servers, whole new hardware. That's expensive stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to have cyber insurance. And $1 million limit is not enough anymore. Now, when the ransoms are $3 to $5 million, And that's just a ransom. You got every other thing you have to pay for on the cost, and we can go over that too if you like.
And then, of course, if you have to get legal fees involved and how much you're going to be paying there.
And that's all covered under the policy. So your cyber policy, you have a data breach component, which are your coaches, and they know all the they need all the they know all the rules and regulations and the fees you're going to have to pay. And how do you notify your customer? And how do you put on credit monitoring? Then you have the forensic component, which could be totally separate. They're all baked in your policy. They have all contracts. So the forensic, we just talked about what they do. But there's a lot of other expenses, public relations costs. You have to rebuild your reputation with your customers.
Yes.
Not naming banks locally here. My wife's bank, she gets a new card every twice a year because something happened. Like, what the heck's going on over there?
Yeah. No, it's bad. It happens to me. I felt like I was on a string of things. And one practice that I do, and I would love to hear your perspective on this. Whenever I get, let's say it's for my bank, and let's say I get a weird text or email saying, hey, we're worried about your account, contact us. Instead of contacting anything that message gives me, I always go to the main line and hit them up first.
Smart.
That's the first thing I do. I never use what I'm given in said message.
You need to call your contact at that bank.
Yeah.
If you are going to wire money, you better call the person at the bank and not worry about an email saying the number has changed.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if it's a wire transfer fraud type of thing, they're going to change the routing number and they're going to change the phone number you call. That's why it's so important you call Sally or Joe. I call my banker, Austin, all the time. Hey, dude, what's going on here? Because I want to know. Do not because we're all used to this. Let me communicate with everybody on here. That's the worst thing you can do. And I'm using my phone. You can't see this, obviously, on the radio. But we rely too much on the phone to do everything for us.
Yeah. It's crazy because even with the bank, the last time they nearly tried to get me, I had 2 days before, I had a legit call with my bank. 2 days later, I get a call from the bank's number. Ooh. It registered as their number on my phone, but the guy who I'm talking to just sounds sketchy to me, and I'm like, here, you know what? I'm just going to show up in person. It's like, no, let's do it over the phone. Let's do it now. It's like, I would feel more secure going in person. It's like, we have to do this right now. This is urgent. It's like, click. I go to the bank, and they're like, oh, no, that wasn't us. Holy cow, we got to alert somebody on that one.
Well, here's the deal. That's like we said before. Hackers could be in your system a long time, trolling around. And it's called social engineering, another term, right? We have a lot of great terms in cyber. That means someone did their research and created a logo that looked exactly like your bank's logo, and now they somehow knew you were involved. They probably have a system, whatever. It's like Alexa. Like you're using Alexa, all of a sudden you're talking to your wife about something, all of a sudden you get like an ad for, wait a minute, what? It's the same thing.
Big Brother's listening everywhere, right?
I love Alexa. I love your station, so it's you have to be on your toes.
Absolutely.
Kind of like when you're walking in Manhattan today, take your headphones off and listen.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going on around the corner there.
Have to be so alert when it comes to everything.
Absolutely.
100%. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We're speaking with Paul Hacker, a broker for Access Insurance Services, talking about all the risks that comes with cybersecurity, but then also all the ways you can protect yourself. We've talked about a number of examples. We've talked about of people getting hacked, almost getting hacked. We've talked about examples of how to protect yourself, protect your business, and there are so many great ways to be able to help yourself out with this. So, Paul, this is where I ask for a business that is looking for your services, your business's services, what is the best way to get in contact and what is the best way to get involved with something like this?
Great question. You can call me. My cell phone number, I will know if you're hacking me. It's 845-255-8044. It's a local number. My number, my office from New Jersey is routed to my cell phone. My email address, it's phacker@access.com. Email anytime, or you can check me out on LinkedIn. You want to talk to me? I'm posting 2 to 3 articles a day, what's going on that I find out, and it ranges from, hey, I just saw this Bank of America Infosys hack where 57,000 customers of Bank of America's data is out there.
Yeah.
So if you want to if you want a break from the family, want to listen to read what I'm writing, go for it. Sometimes I'm trying not to be so voluminous in my intros and just post it, with a little summary.
The stuff that you sent me is great and been very eye-opening, so I appreciate all that. And yeah, no, it's great seeing the stuff that you put out there, and I'm very grateful that you do, not just for myself, but people out there in the community. In the couple minutes that we have left, for those who are timid about starting this process to secure themselves because they feel like they're not great with technology or they wouldn't know where to start, or as you said already, I'm so small, why would they come after me? What kind of nugget would you have for those people who need that push to start?
I have like what Conor said earlier, I have 11-step checklist. It's probably outdated since last year, but it will be a good start for you to look at. If you're timid, you don't want to talk to me, talk to your lawyer, talk to your accountant. They should know what's going on there on the cyber side. If they don't, they know someone who does. And then just, either read my information on my LinkedIn or go somewhere else. You don't have to tell me who you are. You want to learn more about what I'm doing. I get interestingly enough, a lot of brokers going on my stuff, not stealing it, but that's great. I'm going to repost it myself. That's okay. There's enough business out there for everybody, Yeah. So I would say the nugget here is, if you don't want to talk to me, go on to my LinkedIn page. You want to do that? Yeah, I shared the 11-step. I don't know how I can get that out to the people listening.
I can include it in the article portion of this.
You can do that. You can do that.
Fantastic.
And whoever wants to use it can use it. And what's good about that checklist, I didn't do it, my company did it, is they explain what all the terms mean.
Which is great. Yes, while I was reading it was great.
Yeah, so that's a good tip. But I would talk to your accountant, talk to your lawyer, and just Google every day. I watched the news yesterday or the day before. They should have put more information. They talked about cybersecurity. They put 3 things on the screen, and then they went to something else. But it's in the news every day, locally, regionally, and nationally.
Absolutely. And of course, all the links and information will be put in the description of this episode, including those 11 steps, those 11 factors, those 11 things that are good practices. I will make sure that gets up there somehow, some way into it. And it's a great place to start, along with all the links and information so that you can get in touch with Paul, so that hopefully you can start this journey or continue this journey depending on where exactly you are with this. Paul, again, thank you so much for being here on In Touch. So glad to finally get you in the studio, and I hope to have you again sometime soon.
Looking forward to listening to it at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning.
I know, you're one of the few that actually listens when it's out.
My family's sick, and they're not bugging me, so it's all good. So.
Yeah, see, he's a true fan. Instead of just like listening online whenever, he listens when it actually airs. I love that. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you, Conor.
Greatly appreciate it. This has been this week's edition of In Touch, the award-winning public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. We want to give a big thank you to Paul Hacker. For more information on Axis Insurance Services, visit axisins.com. Of course, all links and information can be found in the description of this episode. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just joined us, thank you. You can find In Touch episodes new and old on your favorite streaming services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. That and listen on demand with your Townsquare radio station mobile app. Of course, you can still find all articles and audio under the In Touch tab on this radio station's app and website. And don't forget, we're also on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, at InTouch_HV. If you like what we do here on In Touch and want to be on the show, let us know. Whether you have a topic you want to discuss or you want to be a guest, you can fill out the In Touch submission form, which can be found in the description of this episode. I've been your host, Conor Walsh. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time.